Kung talaga kukunin niya, bakit nabubulok na dyan?
Busy yung gusto.
Sorry, busy rin kami.
Good morning everyone. Today we're in Pasig City and we'll be joining one of the LGU clearing operations. So over here the team have blocked in a number of tricycles, owner type Jeep, and they're issuing tickets for illegal parking. And over here they're issuing a ticket to this tricycle. You can see a sign up there that says no parking, stopping anytime. And you'll see here in front of the market they've been loading up a lot of obstructions that were on the sidewalk. For those that stay within the confines of the market, there's no problem. But if they extend over the sidewalk, that's the point where there'll be an issue. Now I know a lot of people are going to say, what happens to the confiscated items? Everything that's taken is itemized, and a lot of the time people will go and collect it back. But it is worth noting that warnings have been given, many warnings. I mean, MMDA have been doing this for years, but a lot of the time people do go and claim those items back. If not, it's usually given over to the DSWD, and then they can distribute it during typhoons and other calamities where people are affected. Over here they're hooking the tow truck up to this. There is a sign right next to it, no parking, no stopping anytime, loading, unloading. So hooking it up to the tow truck, take it away now. So over here is something that's quite controversial when they actually confiscate the items themselves, in this case bananas. The problem is if you go here every day and say please don't obstruct the sidewalk, they say okay we won't. The next day they do the same thing. So at some point you have no choice anymore but to start confiscating the products themselves, to send a message that really the sidewalk is for pedestrians. And over here they're issuing a ticket to this motorcycle. There were actually 3 people on here. I've seen it a lot in this area, extra children stuffed on the bike. The other child's already left and they're just issuing a ticket to the driver now. They just came down another street now, but to be fair, this one seems very clear. A couple of minor obstructions on the sidewalk, but compared to the rest of what we've seen today, pretty good. And I'll be issuing tickets to these 2 vehicles here for obstructing what should be the sidewalk. And over here they're clearing all this stuff. I think this is meant to be a sidewalk, although very narrow. They consider it an obstruction, so clearing it now. The guys from Pasig.
Boss, ganito kung talaga kukunin niya, bakit nabubulok na dyan?
Busy yung gusto.
Sorry, busy rin kami. Kung busy kayo, busy rin kami. Ginagawa lang namin ang tungkulin. Di ba, alam niyo naman nagki-clearing na tayo lahat. May nasa batas na yan, nagpalabas na si mahal na Pangulo. Kung nagbibigay-bigayan tayo,
Nabuot na eh.
o tingnan nyo, kung talagang tatanggalin, grabe na ngayon lang kikilos kung kailangan nagki-clearing. So sorry kuya.
Hindi pa mabuot yun
Kaya nga sorry kuya, pasensya na po. Pasensya na po pasensya na po. Mawalang galang lang kuya.
And over here another ticket being issued for illegal parking. Give the guy his ticket, ask him to move the vehicle. Apparently this business was complaining about stores on their private property, and that's why they're being cleared away. So again, they have another difficult situation where you keep telling people, please don't do this, please don't do this, please don't do this. What are your remaining options? You can't issue a ticket because there's no way to make them pay that ticket. Your only option, as far as I can think of, is confiscation. And yes, markets get created, public markets, private markets, and they say, hey, please use those, not the sidewalk, not the road. So again, it's very sad to see, but what are your options?
Yung paninda po namin, nagtitinda po kami dyan.
Opo.
Yan na po nga napuhay namin.
Opo.
Kung kukunin nyo na po nila po.
Opo.
Namin at saka kami kukuha na napuhay namin.
Opo.
Pag-isap ko sana makuha ko po.
Okay, ako na magsasalita. Relax. Bigyan ng tubig. Bigyan ng tubig si ate. Hindi, ganito ganito muna. Okay, Inda. Assalamualaikum.
Salam po.
Okay, ganito. Number 1. Isa-isahin natin Isa-isahin natin. Naunawaan ko po, naghahanap buhay kayo ng marangal. Naghahanap buhay kayo ng marangal. Kaso nga, ito po, inaano ko po, clearing operation to. Clearing. So, sana unawaan mo po. Pasensya na ba, Inda? Pasensya na po. Talaga po.
Sir, baka naman mo pwede.
Ayan po, sila ka nagkakarga Kana, Inda.
Yan lang po yung inaano sa mga anak. Wala po.
Alam ko po.
Sige na po, sir.
Opo, alam nyo ba sa Baklaran, mas matindi pa yung ginagawa nila. Ito, ngayon lang nangyari. Sige na po. Lahat ng pagkakamali, ituwid natin.
Baka po pwede niyo po kami pinagpapagdagdag.
O yun nga, chance, magbago na kayo, magbago
Paano po
na.
kayo makapagbago? Wala na po kami paninda. Wala na po kami hanap buhay.
Meron, huwag kayong lahat. Huwag kayong mawala ng pag-asa. Hindi kayo na huwag kayong magpanghinaan ng loob. May pag-asa pa. Okay? Baguhin natin. Ha?
Hindi ba pwedeng gawin yun?
Yun po, ilalaglag yan sa ultra. Doon nyo na po itutubusin yan. Sa Pasig. Doon nyo po tutubusin yan.
Sira na yung ganito.
Doon na po yun. Bahala sila. Hindi po kami nag-ano yan. Sila. Kami clearing.
Sinasabi lang, nasira na sa paglagay ito kanina.
Ay, hindi ko na po sagutin po yun. Ate, pasensya na po. Mawalang galang hinda. Huwag ka pong umiyak. Huwag ka mawala ng pag-asa. May pag-asa pa. Meron pa pag-asa.
Ano ba makapag-asa kung wala na?
Meron.
Sana kung meron kami paninda, kung kaya kayamanan man lang, wala po kami dito.
Kaya nga po
Hindi po kami
hinda.
magsasakripisyo dito.
Opo. Alam ko po, kumakapit kayo sa patalim, maliit na halaga, umuutang kayo sa 5-6 para lang makapaghanap buhay. Tama po yun. Pero hindi po namin inaagaw ang hanap buhay nyo. Kundi ikino-correct lang natin yung mga pagkakamali. Yung mali, itama natin. Okay? Hinda? Naunawaan mo? Hindi po. Huwag ka mawala ng may pag-asa pa. Okay? Sige, Hinda. Move on. Okay? Sige na. Salamat, Hinda.
So they're now regrouping at Pasig TPMO, and I just want to explain what you saw there, because you might look at that and say, why are they clearing vendors from an easement or from private property? According to the city, what happens is they take their carts and they put them in the road during the day, but because there's a clearing operation, they rushed and pushed them onto that private property. People from the private property said, we don't want them here, we're nothing to do with them, we don't know why they went here. Obviously they went there to avoid confiscation, and they've asked them so many times, please stop doing business in the road, please stop doing business in the road, and eventually the only thing they have left to do is to start confiscating items, which is what you see on the back of these trucks. So it is very hard to see this, and people will say, hey, how about their livelihood? But how about everyone else who's trying to get around the city every day? How about everyone else who's operating in a public market or a private market? Don't they also deserve to be protected? So it is sad, but what are your other options? If you have suggestions, let me know. But you can't ticket them because there's no way to make them pay the tickets. The only thing that can work is confiscation. It's sad to see, but it's the only option really that I can imagine. They just stop this rider here, no helmet. When you look at my videos in some barangays, you might say, wow, that looks really clean, not much illegal parking. The reason for that most of the time is that when you coordinate with the barangay and you tell them there's an operation, they drive around before the operation and tell everyone, hey, move your car to avoid a ticket. Anyway, they issued this guy a ticket for no helmet, let him go on his way. What you'll see here is a sidewalk, but this lady and the little child, where did they have to go? In the road. Why? Because this business here that's selling motorcycles are actually using the sidewalk for their business. So it'll be interesting to see what happens once the team get this far. In fact, one of the police is talking to the guard now, advising him not to be obstructing the sidewalk. I don't know if the enforcers will move in time to issue tickets, or they're just going to give a warning to move the bike. And in fact, one of the enforcers is asking them now to hand over a license so tickets can be issued. They moved all of those motorcycles off the sidewalk and pedestrians can pass through again. Unfortunately, no one was willing to surrender license, so they're having to do a non-contact to the plate number. So if you go here to buy a motorcycle, you might find that there's actually already a ticket assigned to the motorcycle, and when you go to register it, you're going to have to pay that ticket. Over here they're impounding an illegally parked tricycle, and same with this one over here. There's no plates on the back, so it's impossible to ticket it, so impound. You'll see this tow truck over here already has a number of tricycles on the back, plus one being towed from behind. In my experience, the more people that are on an operation, the more agencies, departments, etc., the less effective they become, because a lot of people have the attitude of, oh well, if I don't catch that, the next person will. And that's how sometimes you'll see there's so many enforcers, so many police, and yet someone riding without a helmet, for example, will go past everybody. So, I mean, I'm not saying that this is a bad operation, because they've done a lot today and they're sending a strong message for law enforcement, but I'm just saying in my own personal experience and my own preference, the smaller operations are more effective. But they are still getting a lot done today. According to Pasig TPMO, these motorcycles are illegally parked, and they're saying it's sidewalk. And I would guess that's probably true, because if you look at the style of this, it's consistent. It even says Pasig City there, and it's consistent all the way along here, including the area where those motorcycles are parked. And again, this brings up the issue where businesses don't let their motorcycle riders, their employees, park on the inside. So they park outside and then they end up getting tickets, or they end up getting towed away. So I hope more business owners can take this into consideration and try and provide a space for their employees. Most of the motorcycles have now been taken inside. They do appear to have space. And what you'll notice here in Pasig is most of them have body cameras. So right now he's actually holding it more like a camcorder, but it's good to see the LGU with a lot of body cameras. And you see they left a ticket on the windscreen of this one. Illegal parking unattended, 2,000 peso. And they're now clearing all of these from the sidewalk. I guess they're there to dry and then make into broomsticks, I'm not sure, but obviously it's going to be a hazard for pedestrians. I'm not exactly sure who owns these, but it'd be much better if they're on private property rather than the public sidewalk. One thing I'll say is very good about today's operation is the police have been very good at spreading out into different areas. Sometimes in operations you'll see them just hang at the back or hang at the front, but here they've been very good at distributing themselves between everyone just to make sure they're there in case something goes wrong. So if you look here, this is the kind of sweep that they would make with those leaves. So I spoke to the city and I also spoke to some of the vendors here. They told me they're earning between 500 and 1,000 a day. Apparently some of them are living at this property behind here. According to the city, they don't have any kind of permit to operate here. And when I asked the vendors also, do you have a permit or any kind of agreement to occupy this space, they said no. So there was a lot of stalls here a while ago and they're now being cleared.
Napakaano kaya ng ginawa nyo? Wala kayong pasabi na magkaganito kayo. Kami mga maayos po kaming kausap. Wala kayong pasabi na magkaganito kayo, tapos bibigyan nyo kami ng ultimatum sa loob ng compound namin?
Hindi na ito makatarungan ang ginagawa niyo sa amin. Yan sa plaza, pumayag naman kalunin kami. Pero ngayon, pati ba naman dito, gaganyan niyo kami? Paano? Asan yung ustisya? Gusto namin ang maayos na buhay.
Una, wala po kaming problema sa clearing operation ng ating pamahalaan.
Opo, tama po.
Pangalawa, kung merong prior na pag-abiso sa amin na mag-i-implement kayo ng ganito, yung mga yan, usang aalis yan at ano. Nakita nyo naman sir, pagdating nyo, may wala pa kaming time to negotiate, pinapa-pull out na namin kasi ayaw din namin na maging hadlang sa pagsasaayos nyo sa mga ganito. Pero kami sir, ang nasa amin pong kaalaman, ayon sa balita sir ay pathway. So dahil in-extend nyo, no problem po. Pero ang sinisintimiento po namin sir, yung bibigyan kami ng ultimatum na lahat ng mga nasa loob ay dapat hanggang alas 12 lang. Eh anong oras na sir?
So according to the city, they haven't issued any kind of permit to allow businesses to operate here. And in fact, according to them, they've asked them multiple times not to do their business here because this is East Bank Road, which is a very high volume road, and customers come here, they park their cars and it adds to traffic. It's a very, very high volume road. But according to the vendors or the small business owners, they were never told not to operate here, or they were under the impression that as long as they didn't obstruct the sidewalk, they would be okay. So I don't know because I haven't been in this specific area before, but as you've seen in my previous videos of very similar situations, if you ask these vendors or small business owners, please don't do this, they'll say okay, we'll take our stuff inside and you won't see us here again. But then in an hour, if you come back, they've already set up again. So I don't know exactly what the truth is here, what the city's saying, what the vendors are saying, or something in between, or maybe a miscommunication. But for now it's being cleared. And of course you also hear complaints from local business owners saying, hey, why did I have to get a business permit, rent a property, pay all this stuff when other people can just find an empty piece of land and then set up their business and they don't have to follow any rules. Right now they're speaking to the motorcyclists parked here. There is a sign saying no parking allowed. Apparently there's a lot of hubble in this area, which is a bit like a motorcycle taxi, but unregulated, unregistered, and not allowed. The man here said, no, it's my wife. And then they said, okay, what's her name? He doesn't know. And then she asked her, what's his name? She doesn't know. And then eventually the lady said, yeah, it's hubble. They're telling the man now to give the lady her money back. She paid him 120 peso. He's hesitating, probably because he doesn't want to admit that it's hubble, but it's already obvious. So there you go, he's giving the money back now to the lady, and she said she's going to ride a tricycle. My understanding is that the first time you're caught as hubble, the penalty is 5,000 peso, and I believe the second time it gets more expensive, and the third time your license is suspended. Of course, if you want to ride a motorcycle taxi, Angkas is the choice because it's legal and regulated.